Hello, my name is Arnold, and I'm an anime enthusiast. Specifically, I enjoy a lot of older anime series that I believe don't get the attention they deserve. Therefore, I've decided to start a series of videos in which I go into detail about the more obscure side of Japanese animation, so that more people, especially in the Western anime sphere, can get to know more about some of these rather obscure series that have lost some popularity over time. I originally started video editing in high school, where I made a shitty 10-minute synopsis video for the program I was in. I wanted to do something similar like that ever since, so I'm going to be using this series as an excuse to develop my editing skills, as I feel like there aren't many people covering more obscure shows and doing this type of content. And, bigger anitubers focus mainly on seasonal stuff. Gigik, please go back to your shitty 10-minute reviews. I'm on my knees begging. In this video, I'll be going over the 2002 OVA series Yukikaze, originally written by Chohei Kambayashi, directed by Masahiko Okura, and animated by Gonzo Studio. Compared to other Gonzo works, this one is rather obscure, sitting at 20,000 completions on my anime list and 4,000 on AniList. Nevertheless, Yukikaze offers a masterclass in how to create an amazing military sci-fi aesthetic while also offering an interestingly put-together story, despite its rather short length, sitting only at 5 episodes long. Chohei Kambayashi, born in Niigata in 1953, is a notable science fiction author. He debuted in 1979 with a short story, Dance with a Fox, which gained an honorable mention in the 5th Hayakawa SF contest, SF standing for science fiction. Along with the Yukikaze series, he would go on to create other popular works, such as The Enemies of the Pirates, which got its own anime released in 1989, as well as Kotatsubo, for which he received the Nihon SF Taisho Award. He remains famous in Japan to this day, having been ranked in the 2006 SF magazine poll as the 3rd most popular Japanese science fiction writer of all time, coming 2nd in the same poll in 2014. However, he remains heavily unknown in the Western anime and manga sphere, only really known for Yukikaze. As stated in the Wikipedia article about him, his writing often blurs reality and alternate reality, a statement which can be readily verified by anybody who has seen or read Yukikaze, itself a testament to his writing skills and capabilities to create a believable and grounded world. Yukikaze is, by far, Chohei Kambayashi's most popular work to date, and is itself a work of military science fiction. Sento Yosei Yukikaze, Battle Ferry Yukikaze as it's known in English, or Yukikaze for short, was originally a series of short-form stories created by Chohei Kambayashi for the SF magazine, running from 1979 to 1983. It was picked up by Hayakawa Publishing, with the shorts being condensed into manga form in 1984 and released in Japan. It was followed by 3 sequel mangas, titled Good Luck Yukikaze, released in May 1999, Unbroken Arrow Yukikaze, released in July 2009, and Aggressors Yukikaze, released fairly recently in April 2022. Note how 2 of these are released after the OVA. The series will be produced into a direct-to-video OVA series by Gonzo KK, Victor Entertainment, and Bandai Visual to celebrate Bandai Visual's 20th anniversary. Directed by Masahiko Okura, the first episode was released to digital on August 25, 2002, with 4 more episodes releasing periodically until August 26, 2005, when the last episode was released. The soundtrack for the OVA, entitled Sento Yosei Yukikaze Original Soundtrack 1, was produced by Satoshi Mishi and Dogen Shiono, and released in 2002 at the same time as the show. Both the intro to the OVA, Engage, and the outro, RTB, were produced and released in 2002 by Hiroshi Monsieur Kamayatsu, who himself was a former member of the Japanese rock band The Spiders, with other members of The Spiders, such as Katsuo Ono, being known for their work in the Detective Conan soundtrack. This synopsis will be short, as I'd like to encourage you to watch Yukikaze for yourself, as the story is pretty interesting. Therefore, there will be no spoilers for anything past the first episode of the show, or what is told directly to the viewer in the first episode. The story takes place in the near future, a few decades after the nations of Earth under the United Nations banded together to fight an alien threat simply known as the Jam, who invaded Earth through an interdimensional portal over Antarctica. The Jam, throughout the show, are depicted as drone-like aircraft that possess immense firepower in comparison to the technology that their adversaries possess. However, humanity, through their combined efforts, was able to push the jam off of Earth and back through the portal, which led to a new planet called Fairy, where the forces of the UN, now known as the Fairy Air Force, or FAF for short, continued to fight the jam. The main character, Lieutenant Rei Fukai, is a member of the Special Air Force, or SAF, a recon division of the Fairy Air Force. He pilots the Super Sylph B-503 fighter, with his specific fighter being nicknamed Yukikaze, or Wind-Blown Snow in English. Yukikaze is an advanced tactical reconnaissance plane equipped with an almost sentient artificial intelligence, which Rei considers to be his only friend due to his tendency for extreme social isolation and rejection. During a mission on Fairy, Rei locates an otherwise friendly B-503 Super Sylph fighter, which lacks an IFF tag, which, for those who don't know, stands for Identify Friend or Foe tag. This causes Yukikaze to identify it as an enemy, and Rei to subsequently neutralize the threat, beginning the events of the show. Now this section will have a few spoilers, as I will be talking about direct plot events, key aspects, and scenes featured in the OVA, and how they relate to the overall viewing experience. If you want to skip those, the timestamp will be in the description. First of all, the show can be described as a sort of soft fiction property, kind of like Star Wars. Despite heavy exposition dumps throughout the episodes, specifically and criminally in the last episode.
Let's be serious. Is there really a purpose in bringing us all here like this?
As well as many sci-fi elements that elevate the story itself remains distanced from it, using the sci-fi elements instead to elevate the development of the characters themselves, such as Rei. As in Star Wars, the movies aren't all about just the Force. They're about the effects that these sci-fi elements have on the progression of the characters throughout the show. And that's not to say that Rei develops in the same way as characters such as Luke Skywalker, instead quite the opposite. Rei matures in a way that remains grounded to who he was in the beginning, and reflects the adventures he went on throughout the episodes. He learns to tolerate other people, he learns that there's more to the people in his life that he's written off, notably with the only person that truly cares for him, James Booker, and he also realizes that with his skills and through his actions, he can preserve life. Throughout the show, James is constantly attempting to get Rei out of his shell, and to show him that he shouldn't throw his life away in combat, and that he was meant for more than just fighting and killing. Rei, however, sees it as the only thing that he's good at, with Yukikaze being the only one who can recognize that and encourage him to do so. Rei gets to prove his worth through Yukikaze, and in the end, doing the impossible and ending the jam threat for good, though at the cost of both his life and Yukikaze's. The character dynamics in the show work for its favor, as it does not attempt to pull Evangelion out of nowhere. It doesn't attempt to be, instead its character dynamics remain simple. Rei is a troubled man. He's lonely, he's socially awkward, he isolates himself, and the other characters such as James, and later on with Edith Foss, attempt to help Rei work through his problems, and all attempt to aid him in some way, as they see the human behind the machine, and they see his worth as a person. It's through their help that Rei sees the worth in all others, enabling his sacrifice as a worthy endeavor. In the end, the show sticks to a main theme of worth and belonging, something that Rei struggles to find throughout the show, but is able to reconcile with through his connections and through the support of his closest buddy, Yukikaze. In terms of actual production quality, you'd think that something of this quality would be more mainstream, or at least talked about more in the Western anime sphere. It's not surprising, as this show tends to attract a certain type of viewer, that being the military enthusiast who can appreciate the detail put into the animation, as well as into the aircraft themselves, because, Jesus Christ, are they sexy.
God, it's so fucking hot!
While the show is advertised as being full 3D CG digital animation, the show itself seems to have been produced with a mix of both hand-drawn cells and CGI. For example, out-of-aircraft scenes are heavily detailed and meticulously constructed, with the aircraft scenes being smoother, and while not lacking in the detail department, you can definitely tell the difference. It's worth noting, however, that the action sequences in every sense make up for the shortcomings of the show, with Gonzo absolutely knocking it out of the park with the jet sequences. Here's just a clip from the first episode just to illustrate that point.
Two seconds to contact.
All the dogfights of the show are like this, and they only get better the more you watch it. My favorite one is the dogfight from episode 4, and I'd be interested to know yours in the comments because they're all equally great. What heightens the production value even more is the quality of the soundtrack, with Satoshi Michi and Dogen Shiono knocking it out so far out of the park that it hit the goddamn Pentagon. It's kind of like Mobile Suit Gundam Thunderbolt, where you never expect jazz to go well with massive robot warfare, but then you hear it, and you think it's the best thing ever. It's the same thing here, except replace massive robots with sleek fighters and jazz with piano melodies and synths. It's really cool, and it lends really well to the aesthetic of the show. I've been obsessed with this show ever since I binge watched it while building a sugarcane farm in Minecraft, and I've been surprised how little people have heard about it before, let alone watched it. Then again, everyone has their own interests, likes and dislikes, and you're allowed to have that, no questions asked. Except if you've watched the entirety of One Piece, then I'm going to ask you about the last time you saw your father. But nevertheless, Yukikaze is an amazing art piece, and even though the story can seem a bit lackluster to some, though not exactly to me, it brings it all together with its amazing set pieces and its beautiful action sequences. All of which brings me to recommend this show to you. If you haven't already watched Yukikaze, watch it. It's only 5 episodes long, and I wholeheartedly believe it's worth it. And hey, who knows? You might just like it. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, and or leave a comment. I'm just trying to get a feel for this type of content and to see if anybody's actually interested in watching it in the first place before I devote more time to it. Because I enjoy doing this stuff, and I'd like to devote more time to it, but I'd like to see if anybody's actually interested in it. So if you like to see some more of this stuff, or even if you have some criticisms about it, because I know for sure that this video will not be perfect, I'd like to hear it. So thank you for watching, and have a good day. Peace.